So I saw this video where the Jamaicans are going to the king, which we know they love how much they love the monarchy because we saw how sad they were when the queen passed. Um, they're going to the king to ask him specifically, not CARICOM, just Jamaica by themselves, with the support of CARICOM, is going to the king to ask for reparations.
Take our mission for reparatory justice to the next level with the launch of a campaign to petition His Majesty King Charles III. We intend to petition King Charles on September the 6th, an historic day. On this date in 1781, the Zong slave ship departed West Africa for Jamaica with 442 enslaved Africans. Throughout the journey, the ship ran into trouble, and the captain kept throwing enslaved Africans overboard in order to claim insurance for loss of cargo. 140 enslaved Africans were killed. The ship finally arrived in Black River on December the 21st, 1781. We erected a monument to the murdered Africans in Black River where the ship docked. Interestingly, when Hurricane Melissa devastated the town, it was the only monument standing, as if to remind us of our duty to seek reparatory justice. So our petition to the king will request that he refers to the Privy Council, the final appellate court of Jamaica, 3 questions related to the criminal nature of the transatlantic trafficking and racialized chattel enslavement of Africans in Jamaica. And the 3 questions relate to A, whether the forced transportation of African people from their homelands to Jamaica.
Did y'all catch that? African people from their homelands to Jamaica. So as much as they be flying that Jamaican flag, a lot of them aren't Jamaican. The way they try to tell us that we not American, but we have proof that we have been on this land since before America was America. But they are saying that they are not Jamaicans. So why aren't they called African Jamaicans?
And their subsequent enslavement in Jamaica were lawful because such unauthorized removal and enslavement was contrary to the fundamental principles of the common law. B, whether the forced transportation and subsequent enslavement of people of African descent up until 1838 constituted crimes against humanity under international law for which the UK bears responsibility. C, in the light of the said actions, illegalities, whether the UK is under an obligation to provide a remedy to the Jamaican people for the unlawful transportation and enslavement of African people in Jamaica under British rule up until 1838.
And there you go. The British are responsible for their transportation and enslavement, not the United States of America. So, Jamaicans trying to get reparations from the United States of America makes no sense. They did not do any work here, they were not enslaved by this government. See, this is actually what they should be doing. You know what I'm saying? They're going to their correct enslavers or plantation owners or, you know what I'm saying, human traffickers, instead of being here
For the
in the United
continuing
States and trying to
consequences of the
co-opt what we're
same.
doing.
This request is made to His Majesty the King in his capacity as head of state of Jamaica.
Wait a minute. Did she just say that the king was the head of state? Wait. Don't they just keep telling us that how they have their independence and we don't have our independence? I could have sworn I kept hearing that, but she just said that the king is the head of state.
His Majesty the King, in his capacity as head of state of Jamaica, and from whom we expect protection. And we have the full support of CARICOM in the execution of this
You heard
action.
that? The full support of CARICOM. I'll address it at the end.
The enslavement of our ancestors lasted over 300 years before their own sustained effort. They were able to remove the shackles of enslavement. By their own sustained effort, they were able to remove the shackles of enslavement. When the ancestors achieved their emancipation in 1834, the planters were compensated for loss of property. Let us remember that the government of England calculated the cost to the planters of losing their so-called property at $47 million. The government of England was only able to finance up to £20 million in compensation through a loan that was finally settled in 2015. They decided to impose a period of apprenticeship to offset the additional cost of £27,000. And this apprenticeship system meant that the newly emancipated Africans were forced to provide years of additional free labor to the planters, thereby literally paying their enslavers for their freedom. On March 25th this year, Madam Speaker, the International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Slave Trade, the government of Ghana secured in the United Nations the passing of a resolution declaring the trafficking of enslaved Africans and racialized enslavement of Africans as the gravest crime against humanity.
Another Caribbean nation. Y'all saw I did the video on Barbados already. She was out there over there. She was the Bayesian president went over there to Ghana. But now another a Caribbean country that does not understand the history of slavery. They have no idea that the Ghanaians are the ones who sold them to the Europeans in the first place. I mean, it is crazy. They just sitting here. Yes, we joined hands with the Ghanaians. I mean, look, if y'all that's what y'all want to do, that's what y'all want to do. But don't sit here and think we gonna do the same shit because you did it.
And Jamaica, with the rest of CARICOM, supported the declaration.
Oh, and the rest of CARICOM joined hands with the slave sellers, aka the Ghanaians, to demand reparations. Y'all crazy as hell. Y'all really need to. Y'all need to learn the history. Look. All right, let me mind my daggone business.
So, Madam Speaker, in an effort to improve public awareness on the matters of reparations, my ministry will, in short, publish a document titled 100 Discussion Points on Reparations, contributed by 3 members of the National Council on Reparations, Dr. Jelani Nayo, Professor Clinton Houghton, and Dr. Michael Barnett. And the aim is to fill the gap of knowledge and guide our deliberations at this strategic time.
And I just had a couple of questions. Now, please understand, this is really none of my business. I'm just curious. I just the curiosity in me has a couple of questions. And it's something maybe you should think about. If not, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, yeah, y'all ain't got to answer. I'm just asking a couple questions. Y'all say that y'all don't have racial categories in Jamaica, that y'all are just Jamaican. Okay. So if you get reparations from the king, are you guys going to share with the white planters, the descendants of the white planters that are still there? I know it's not a lot of them that are still there, but there's a few. They're Jamaicans. They've been there for centuries. Are they gonna get a check? How about the Chinese that just got there? Like, are they gonna get a check? Look, like that lady who said that, you know what I'm saying, you're not Jamaican unless you have a Jamaican passport. Does she get a check for reparations? How about the Indians? You know, Kamala Harris's family. Do they get a check? You know, you guys have that saying, you know, out of one, many. And that sounds really good. You know, it sounds like, you know, oh, kumbaya, we all together, until it comes down to this. So I'm just curious as to, have you guys thought or put any thought into how you are going to figure out who gets a check and who doesn't? If not, like I said, you know what I'm saying, it really ain't none of my business. It really ain't none of my business. So y'all ain't gotta answer me or nothing, but you know, I'm just asking questions. And then I just thought it was really interesting that she said that they had the full support of CARICOM to, you know, bring this to the king all by themselves. We're not getting any support from the Jamaicans that are here in New York.
My mother's Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot of black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit or get reparations.
Well, most people who are for reparations, they feel like it should go to what they call foundational black Americans anyway.
And I agree with that point. But I'm just saying, I'm just laying out, these are the reasons for why I'm no. So while I'm saying now,
you do support reparations for what Leonard just deemed as, quote, foundational black Americans?
No, I don't.
No.
But I want to explain that. I want to explain that. And so that's why you have a lot of people saying, okay, well, then what are we going to do? And so my view is that what you do going forward is this is why you have to have wholesale changes in economic, medical policy, et cetera, so that the ability to access various parts of our economy and grow in our economy work for everybody, including people in our country who are, quote unquote, foundationally black.
We're not getting any support from the Jamaicans that are here in New York. You know, well, we get our reparations. They're demanding that they be included in that. And that brings up another question. So do the Jamaicans that left Jamaica, you know, that they have been in other places now for quite some time, do they still get a check?
My fellow Jamaicans, me come for drink milk, but be there cocoa. It is abundantly clear to me that there are people who live foreign and identify as Jamaicans, but you don't have one of these. And while you're entitled to your opinion, one is a set a rascal does. So let me set the record straight. Number one, Jamaica is not an African nation. It's not a black country. We identify as an ethnically diverse society. People, please just stop it. Out of many, one people, Jamaicans. We do not hyphenate and we do not encourage separation by race. Number two, this one's mine. This is my granny own. This one is my mom's. And this is grandpa. Yeah, it's hardcover. Grandpa died a long time ago. If you are planning a trip to Jamaica and you don't own one of these, you're going to have to book a return flight from where you came. These are the rules. I'm just laying it down for you. If you go to Jamaica and you don't have one of these, immigration will stamp your passport and give you a set amount of time that you're allowed to stay in Jamaica. And if you overstay your welcome, we put you back on a plane and we send you back. You, not me, you back to the country from which you came.
And then I just find it interesting because the Jamaicans that are here, there are quite a few of them, you know, telling us that we don't deserve a check. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just asking questions. Yeah, look, I'm just asking questions.